Let's do an example with implicit differentiation. I've got an equation here, x squared plus y squared minus 1 quantity cubed minus x squared times y cubed equals 0. And so this implicitly defines y as a function of x, at least near the point x equals 1, y equals 1. I'll actually show you a picture of the graph of that equation. There it is. And what I want to do is I want to find the line tangent to this graph at the point 1, 1. And I've actually calculated this in advance. I can show you the tangent line there. There we go. And so our job is to just find a formula for that tangent line to the heart. Okay, so here we go. What we want to do is find the slope of the tangent line, because we've already got a point. We already know that tangent line goes through the point 1, 1. We just need the slope. That point, or that slope, excuse me, that's going to be y prime. So how do we find that? What we want to do is take the derivative of the equation on the left-hand side with respect to x. And then we're going to solve for y prime, and that'll be the slope. So here we go. In order to do this, I need to use the chain rule. And when I look at this term, x squared plus y squared minus 1 cubed, my inside function is actually x squared plus y squared minus 1. My outside function is the function that takes an input and cubes it. So in order to take the derivative, I'm going to take derivative of the outside function. The power rule says that's 3 times the quantity. And then I reduce the exponent by 1. And now I have to take the derivative of the inside function. So the derivative with respect to x is going to be 2x plus the derivative of y squared with respect to x. So the derivative of y squared with respect to x, again using the chain rule, is 2y, that's the power rule applied here, times dy dx. So 2y times y prime. And that's what you're after. You're after that derivative y prime. And of course, the derivative of negative 1, that's equal to 0. So moving on, we have to subtract the derivative of x squared times y cubed. And so to do that, I'm going to use the product rule. I've got a product x squared with y cubed. So the derivative of x squared, that's 2x. I multiply that by y cubed. And now I'm going to be subtracting x squared times the derivative of y cubed. That's going to be 3y squared. That's the power rule. And then times y prime. Because remember, when you take the derivative of y cubed with respect to x, using that power rule, then the chain rule tells you multiply by the inside function, the derivative of the inside function, and that's y prime. So that's the derivative, and the right-hand side, of course, is still equal to 0. All of this was equal to 0, so its derivative is still equal to 0. So what I want to get from this is a formula, what's y prime equal to? So a general formula would be hard to get, but knowing that I want the points, x equals 1, y equals 1, I just want to find the slope of the tangent line at that point. I can simplify my calculation by just plugging in x equals 1, plugging in y equals 1. So when I go ahead and do that, I'm going to get 3 times 1 plus 1 minus 1 squared times 2 plus 2 times 1 times y prime. That's y prime at the point 1, and we don't know what it is yet, but we'll solve for it later. And then I'm subtracting 2 times 1 cubed minus 3 times 1 squared times 1 squared times y prime. And that's all equal to 0. So now you've got an equation, 3 times 2 plus 2y prime minus 2 minus 3y prime equals 0. So I challenge you to solve that for y prime. Just do the algebra to figure that out. And what you're going to end up with is y prime equals negative 4/3. That's what you get when you take this equation and just solve it for y prime. And that's telling you that the slope of the tangent line at the point 1, 1 is equal to negative 4/3. So now you've got a point and a slope. You put those together to look at the formula for the tangent line. Remember that point-slope formula tells you you've got the slope times x minus your x-coordinate, that's 1, plus your y-coordinate. And so this is the formula for the line tangent to the heart at the point 1, 1. And to briefly recap, the idea is you start with an equation that implicitly defines y as a function of x. You never know the explicit formula, but you don't have to. You're given a point, and you want to find the slope so that you can use the point-slope formula in order to find a formula for the tangent line. So what you do is you take the derivative of both sides of that equation with respect to x. Using the chain rule, using what we call implicit differentiation, you'll find a formula. Then you'll plug in x and y for the points that are given to you. That allows you to solve for y prime to get the derivative that finds for you your slope, and that lets you write down the equation.